Father Michael, does he know he's going to have a few words? All right, everybody. This is flashing red. So it's we're fine with one microphone, Joseph. No? All right. All right, everybody, we'll get started here in just a minute. Well, since you quieted down so quickly, maybe we'll just start right now. Father Tamson, would you like to lead us in a prayer?
Okay, please stand for a prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day in which we can learn about the school and get to know one another. We ask you to bless us, bless our children and the teachers. Grant us the grace to have a great start of the year. We ask all this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
All right, welcome. I would have to say in my 7 years at Canyon Heights, this is probably the biggest turnout that I've seen at a parent event. So great, we're starting a good trend. Very good to meet all of you. My name is Jeff Waters. I'm the new president of Canyon Heights. I think maybe Kevin Holman, my predecessor, can correct me on this. I think I'm the 5th leader of Canyon Heights in its history. All right, number 5, which I don't think is lucky in any culture, but we'll claim it for ours. Very good to meet all of you. We have a very simple set of speakers tonight. It's going to be myself, and then Dr. Filion will come up after me. I'm going to be giving you just a little bit of an introduction to myself, why I came here, and as part of that, talk a little bit about what Canyon Heights means to me and to my family, but also more broadly, what it will increasingly mean to you as new families, and for those of you that are returning families, you already know a lot of the magic about this school. And then Dr. Filion will walk through, I would say, a lot of practical information, but also a lot of great information in terms of expectations and goals and aspirations for this coming year. It's going to be a very, very exciting year, and it's great to have you all here to kick things off. So first, as an introduction, I'm going to be wedded here to this podium, which is usually I'm walking around with my hands waving, so if you see me knock something over, recognize this isn't my normal setup. So just quickly as an introduction to myself, I've been married for 36 years to my wife, Melissa. We have 3 kids, Anna, Jack, and Joe. We have a growing number of grandchildren with Wes, who is a little over a year, and also Charlie, who is 0.4 years or close to 5 months. I am new here as of 5 weeks ago, and I spent the preceding roughly 35 years, which still amazes me to say, but the preceding 35 years working in industry, in technology. The vast majority of that was here in Silicon Valley, though my wife and I did have stints in Chicago and also 2 trips of time we spent in Tokyo. But I've spent the majority of my time growing my career in Silicon Valley and really in 2 primary industries. One is in semiconductors or computer chips. For those of you that are unaware of that industry, think of NVIDIA or Intel, those kinds of companies. So I did that for probably the first 25 years. And then for the last decade, it was really spent in energy or renewable energy. First with a solar panel company and then with a battery company. So of course, given that, it made perfect sense for me to do what I'm doing now, but I'll explain that in just a moment. So Canyon Heights, so our second trip to Tokyo, we'd been there for about 4 years. We were coming back to the United States. And I think at that point, we had a lot of things going on within the family, some struggles with our kids, and we started to really realize that we needed to change things up when we returned back home. And we're coming back into San Jose. We'd had our kids in the diocesan schools. Our youngest son, Joe, was entering into 3rd grade, and my wife, Melissa, started asking around. I think we were really looking for a school that was going to give us great academics, but also, I think, take it up a notch in terms of faith and in terms of formation. And we found Canyon Heights from some very trusted friends of ours, and they told us about it. It seemed like a godsend, and I can tell you, going on close to 10 years later, it definitely was a godsend. So our son Joe graduated 8th grade back in 2021. On Thursday, I was planning on being here for drop-off, but instead I will be on a plane with my wife and Joe, taking him to college. So our last little bird is leaving the nest. So it is going to be a very, very big milestone day for us. Sorry that I won't be here with all of you. I know for some of you, this is going to be your child's first day of school, but I will miss that. But you can count on me being back the following week. After we'd been at Canyon Heights for a few years, Charles Corbelis, the founder of the school, asked me to be on the board. I served on the board for about 6 years. During my time at Canyon Heights, I was quite proudly one of the coaches of one of our basketball teams that got disrupted by COVID. But one of the things you'll find, for those of you that are new, the sports programs here, we are a scrappy bunch. We're a little on the smaller side, but we are scrappy, and we do have some areas of juggernauts, like our volleyball program, headed up by Coach Joe, who's back there toward the back. But we do have a lot of great fun. And then just as of about 5 weeks ago, I started as the 5th head of the school, so as our president. And, as I referenced earlier, as somebody who spent all of my life within the corporate world, I've gotten a lot of very kind of quizzical and kind of mystified responses when I've told people about the change that I made. And, I usually get the question, so why? What is it that prompted you to make the change? I would say certainly what underlies the whole thing was an immense amount of prayer. I did spend a lot of time on my knees talking to God, going back and forth with God, arguing with God in many cases, but he made it very, very evident to me that this was the best place for me to start the next phase of my career, and I'm super excited to be here. But I would say when I think more broadly about why I joined, it took me a bit to answer the question. I think as I thought about it more and more, it just really struck me that probably for the last 3-4 years, I've come to the conclusion that very objectively, Canyon Heights is probably the most important institution, arguably, that there is on the planet right now. And I know that might sound like a bit of hyperbole, but I do truly, genuinely mean it, and I'll explain why. I think a lot of it has to do with what we do as a school, but I think a lot of it also has to do with where we do it. And I think, as you all know, you are all residents here of the Bay Area or Silicon Valley, and there are a lot of wonderful things that come from the technology that so many of us labor to help create and drive. And when technology, like a lot of gifts from God, are used correctly and well, they can be fantastic. And certainly technology has brought a lot of great innovation. But I think we can also see, and especially in the last 15, 20 years, especially with the advent of the internet, we've seen that same technology can also be used for some challenging things. And technology, it moves so quickly that, especially for us as parents, it always keeps us on our toes, and we're always trying to grapple with exactly what this new technology is going to mean. The good stuff can be pretty easy to see up front, but you don't really process what the downside can be. I think about, things even like the internet, right? Our older children were right there at the beginning of the internet, and a lot of great things come from the internet, but certainly there are a lot of evil things that can come through the internet. And as you try and catch up with that, I think it really sets the culture a bit on its heels. And you can see us go down some paths that create a lot of challenges. You've had I would say the challenges with social media are now well discussed. I think the challenges with data that gets collected on us and the way different companies will use that data, not so great. Certainly now the big dialogue is around artificial intelligence. And what is that going to mean? We're early days on that. I think we're still trying to figure it out. But as we think about ourselves as parents and you all as parents, what does that really mean? What is that going to mean? What kind of an impact is that going to have on our children? And what you'll see with society and with education, it almost feels like they're consistently trying to move toward a moving target. And I remember back probably 8 years ago, we had a speaker come and he said, if your children don't learn coding, they are going to be left behind. If they're not coders, they don't go deep into STEM, they are going to struggle with their careers. If you think about where coding is now, coding is still important. I know many of you are employed as coders, but if you think about the advances of AI and what that's meaning for coding, you know that coding is not the path to long-term career success in and of itself. But you see this happening where the society is continually trying to figure out, okay, what do we need to do for our children to make our children successful? And the reality of it is that technology moves so quickly that it's impossible to predict. I think even for you all right now, even if you have 8th graders, trying to predict what kind of functional expertise your child should have for 4 years from now or 8 years from now is close to impossible. There is an answer to it all, and it's not about trying to look at where technology is going, where industry is going, what markets are going to be hot. It really comes down to how you form and educate your children. If you can create and help build and mold children that are founded in the virtues, and ideally founded in a relationship with Christ, that is about the best you can possibly do to set them up for success. I mean, I see this now in the tech field, and even in my previous job, I did a lot of work with Wall Street. And what you'll hear from people in tech and also on Wall Street is, we can teach them how to do the tools, right? We can teach them how to code. We can teach them how to be finance people. What we can't really teach them is how to think or how to have the right morals and virtues and work ethic. Those are the kinds of things that take cultivation. And frankly, it's not something you can kind of jam down a kid's throat when they get into high school. It's something you really want to start early. And that's going to be the best way to set them up for success. So when I think about where we sit in Silicon Valley, and I think about what Canyon Heights is, right? Many of you have just gotten an introduction to it, but the more you'll learn about it, we are based on a philosophy of education and a faith that will help your children and help you all as parents navigate through all the things that life is going to throw at you. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to avoid all the problems. You're not going to have your valleys of darkness. Those are almost guaranteed. But you're going to have the best shot at being equipped to navigate those with the kinds of things that we aspire to do here at Canyon Heights. And I have an array of pictures up here. The one is the famous picture from Rembrandt of Jesus in the boat, and that's meant to kind of signify the relationship with Christ. That's a lot of what we do. I know for those of you in your faith journey, if you're on the early end of your faith journey, maybe like I was 15 years ago, and maybe Christ isn't a regular part of your vocabulary, that's okay. I think what you're going to see is that the kind of virtues and behaviors that your children will learn here that come from Christ are the kinds of things that resonate with everybody. All right? But that is something that sits at our foundation. I showed the picture again of my wife and me with our son Joe. We really make parents an integral part of what we do. I mean, you'll see that as a part of the educational philosophy. It is really around parents as the lead educators and formators of their children. We're here to support you all as parents. And that's not true everywhere. But you guys know your children best, and the more we can work with you and work together with your kids, the more successful they're going to be. I show a picture also of my son Joe with the mask on next to Mrs. Kelsey, one of our teachers. We also put a lot of effort and care into our teachers. We hire great teachers that are really quality people. We put a lot of effort and dedication into their formation. because we know that collectively with you all as parents, you guys consume the vast majority of they consume a vast majority of your kids' formation. So we put a lot into that, and that's a big part of the philosophy. The other piece is the Catholic Church, and I would say for those of you that are not Catholic, or again, you're early in your faith journey, I would say just trust me that the rules that we have that are there in the Catholic Church and the beauty of the teachings of the Catholic Church, they will resonate with you whether you've found Christ already or you're just on a journey to get there. So this toolkit is great for a number of things. One, for equipping you all and your kids to deal with the world that's out there. But it's also great from the standpoint that if you think about our community, we're made up of people that have great influence in this valley, that work for these great tech companies that are doing a lot of wonderful things, but are also creating some challenges for us. So collectively, the more we, Canyon Heights, can do our mission, what we aspire to do, the more we can help this valley change. And that's why, again, given what we do, given where we do it, really, really important place. And I can't think of a more important place for me to bring my experience, which has been mostly around general management and working with businesses that in some cases have needed a lot of help, have needed growth. I think in Canyon Heights, as you're going to see when I talk about finances, we've got a really good entity here. It has been running a bit steady. We've got a lot of opportunity for growth, and that's where I'm going to be putting a lot of my time and effort. When we talk about formation, we talk a lot about student formation, but really what we're implying around that is community formation. We take the formation of our parents very seriously. Now, don't be frightened. That isn't that we're going to be going through and giving you subliminal messages or doing other things to try and program you. It's more that we are going to be increasingly trying to pull you into the community that we have here. Because you'll find great people that have learned a lot of hard lessons, a lot of good lessons, a lot of things that you can share with them. And collectively, you guys can make yourselves more confident, more happy, more faith-filled parents. It's also the staff, as I mentioned earlier. We feel like this triumvirate, right? If we can help our students while they're here, if we can help the parents from a community perspective, and if we can help our faculty, that combination is going to give you and your children and your family a great opportunity to flourish in this world. We talk a little bit about the finances. So when you run a school, there's a bit of a playbook that ideally you want to hit. And I showed this slide for those of you that were at the end of school presentation last year. But ideally what you want to do is have it such that your tuition and fees fund 100% of your operations. So all the money that we charge you in terms of tuition basically covers all of our costs so that we're break even. As you can see on the far right column, we sit somewhere at about 80% right now. So what that means is that basically the tuition that you're seeing does not cover the full cost of the education. And part of that is because we have financial aid that goes into a number of families. We also have expensive rent. As you see, we have a big, beautiful campus with a lot of potential. A lot of this space here requires a fair amount of rent. But right now we're sitting at about 80%. Ideally, you'd want your community fundraising, so we have a gala, we have an annual appeal. We'll do a lot of things where we try and work with you all to help with your time and talent and treasure to help contribute to the school. That money, ideally, would be going toward making the campus better, putting a lot of investment into the facilities, doing things like adding a gymnasium or maybe creating more of a turf field. You can think of a lot of different things that you'd want to do, but that right now is money that we need to put into to cover the shortfall that we have on the tuition side. So I guess what I'm saying is collectively here, we're paying the bills, right? We're keeping our cash balance steady. But we're not quite at that point of being able to kick it into high gear and really turn this campus into something, and I would say even the resources that we have to make it as good as it should be given the importance of what we're doing. So then last but not least, we call it Beyond the Community fundraising. So this is going out to foundations that are beyond you all and beyond us. This is really around talking to like the Sobrato Foundation or maybe even big donors that are in the middle of the country and talking to them about Canyon Heights and what it does and why they should care given what their passions are in life about helping Canyon Heights to be successful here in Silicon Valley. That ideally you want going into an endowment or you want going into major improvements. So think new buildings or maybe expanding into a high school, those kinds of things. Right now we don't get any of that. And that is something that we're going to be putting a lot of effort into to give us long staying power as a school, but also to really help us transform the campus. For those of you that are already here and you start to experience the school, you know the magic. The problem is we got a lot of people that will come and they'll say, you know, I look at the campus, I look at the resources, I'd rather have something that had a big gym, for example, or maybe had a full soccer field with AstroTurf like some of the higher end schools around here. Those people need Canyon Heights as much as any of us in the room do, arguably maybe even more. And we'd like to be able to pull them in as well, and as well create even more opportunity for your kids as they grow in their own formation and build out the completeness of who they are as a person. So you're going to see us put a lot of effort into that. It's going to be one of my big goals. My big role is really around how do we get the school to grow in terms of enrollment? How do we get the school to grow in terms of additional funds coming in? And we've got great people on the staff to help with that. Speaking of which, this is the organization chart. I talked a little bit about myself. Dr. Fillion, you're going to get to meet here in great detail. She will walk through her organization chart with you all, and you'll get to hear a lot about the great teachers that we have coming in. Katie Sternhagen, who's in the back, she really heads up what we call community development. So when I talk a lot about building our parent community, Katie is a lot of the heart and soul behind that, along with the rest of us. Melissa Ma heads up our finance and operations, so she's the business office. Probably everybody's met Melissa that's come through the process. She heads up finance and operations. She also has Joanne, who runs the front desk and does a variety of other things. And also John Catalano, who's in charge of our facilities, reporting to her. Ann Druschel, you all know from admissions, the woman standing and screaming on the bench, and is a spark plug for us all and really helps work with all of us to help get more and more people in. See, there she is. And then last but not least, we have Father Michael Vanderbeek, who's the newest addition to the team. This picture, I believe, is from third grade of Father Michael, if I'm not mistaken. Well, why don't we have him come up and say a few words, and then you can hand it off to Dr. Fillion when you're done.
Keep the mice away. So I'm grateful to be here. Actually, the funny thing is in our formation process as seminarians, as we're studying to become priests, we take a pause in our studies and we do 2 to 3 years of internship. And I was sent here to do my internship between 2004 and 2007. So I was here at Canyon Heights actually for 2 of those years. And it's amazing for me to be back 20 years later. And there's still staff here that were here 20 years ago. I was doing a little bit of web page creeping to see who I recognized. And then my first day on campus, there was an alumnus, Matt Johnson. He was volunteering time. And I thought, oh, I'm not going to recognize any of the kids that were here from 20 years ago. And I turned around and I saw him, and his eyes, like, they looked the same as they were when he was 5 years old. And I was like, he had 2 siblings here too. So I was like, well, you're either Matt or Evan. And he's like, who are you? I was like, oh, you don't know me. So I'm grateful to be back. I came from Chicago, our community there. I was working at a school similar in size to Canyon Heights. And before that, I was in Houston, Texas, also working at a school as chaplain. So my job here is to accompany. I'm helping. My goal is to help everyone get just one little step closer to Jesus, not to be a little bit less afraid of him. And so I am present every day. I also want all of you eventually to have my cell phone number so that if you need anything, you can just send me a text or call me. I'm here for you. So I'm grateful to be here. And if you need your house blessed or you would like me to come over for dinner or anything like that, Father Tampson and I are both going to be working together. So I'll be the head chaplain or the full-time chaplain, and he's also teaching, so he'll be assisting me in the chaplaincy, but also teaching classes. So thank you very much, and please, don't be afraid of me. I'm a very imperfect human being, so if you need anything at all, just come up and talk to me. And I know I'm tall, so sometimes, it's funny, the kids don't really care about that, but the adults tend to be a little bit more afraid of tall people. So just, feel free to come and let me know what you need. And I'm grateful to be here. God bless you. Now I don't know if it's my place. I don't know if it's my place to invite the principal. I'm just brand new, so I'd like to invite the principal, Mrs. Annalisa.
Thank you so much, Father. Good evening, everyone. So before I get started, I wanted to echo what Mr. Waters said, in that this is the biggest turnout that I've ever seen for our parent orientation since I've been here. So what a blessing. So good evening, everyone. My name is Annalisa Filion, and I am the principal of Canyon Heights Academy. And my main priority is to ensure that our students are continuing to grow in their integral formation. So for my speaking points tonight, I will be sharing with you our school initiatives for the school year, and then an overview of our school's policies and procedures. But before we get started, as always, I'd like to make sure that we are grounded in the mission of our school. Our mission at Canyon Heights is to form Christian leaders who will transform society. And our approach to doing that is what's called integral formation. And within integral formation are 4 different dimensions: intellectual, human, spiritual, and apostolic. And I know that there's a family here who traveled, and when they came to our campus for open house, they recognized right away that we are an RC school. Can I have you raise your hand? Yes. So welcome home. And just out of curiosity, can you raise your hand if you are a new family at Canyon Heights? That way I have an idea of what I should be reviewing. Wonderful. Thank you. And because my eyesight is poor, if you are a returning family, can you raise your hand? And I will put on my eyeglasses. Thank you. And within our graduate profile, which is similar to our student learning expectations, it states that equipped with an excellent academic preparation and their faith in Jesus Christ, our students set out to invest their God-given talents to better this world. So for those of you who are returning this year, returning families, last year our theme was Thy Kingdom Come. For this year, our theme is Semper Altius, which in Latin means always higher, always getting closer to Christ. And so our students will be introduced to our theme at the beginning of the school year, and then it will be reinforced as the year progresses. So within Semper Altius, we're striving for excellence in our students' formation by also taking into account our students' strengths, opportunities, their histories, and also their backgrounds. Now I'll go ahead and just launching into our initiatives for the school year. So for our returning families, you'll see that we are continuing with the initiatives that we started, one of them including our critical thinking skills. And our process for doing that is we're continuing with our math program. So for our new families, we do have a math program that combines both procedural and conceptual math. And we're also going to continue with offering our students experience with Socratic seminars. So last year, our teachers had an opportunity to participate in professional development to integrate this within their classrooms. So many of our students were able to experience this, but not all of them. So this year, we're going to continue so that our students as early on as kindergarten through 8th grade have an opportunity to grow in their confidence with participating in class discussions and also learn to deepen their thinking. For math achievement this year, we'll be focusing on math facts. This is for our students in grades 1 through 4, so that when our students move on to 5th and middle school, they are more confident with moving on to skills such as fractions and also decimals, which is feedback that our teachers had given us from last year. With our reading achievement, based on feedback last year, we launched a new phonics program. Do we have any parents here from grades 1 through 3? Wonderful, wonderful. So we launched what's called our Sadlier Phonics program, which is based on the science of reading, and our teachers found that to be very successful. And it was also shown in a growth in our reading achievement based on our STAR scores. So we are now extending this also to our students in kindergarten. Raise your hand if you are a kindergarten parent. Amazing. Wonderful. In addition to that, we'll also be reviewing our text selections. So this will include our main library. So we'll be supporting Mrs. Davidian and also Mrs. Gruen in this endeavor, and then also our text selections within the classrooms to ensure that they are in alignment not only with our Catholic values, but also that they are developmentally appropriate and have a wide variety of genre for our students' engagement. We're also going to continue looking at our students' communication skills, not only with their public speaking, but also expository writing, so that our goal is for our students, when they graduate 8th grade, that they are skilled and confident in writing a 5-paragraph expository essay that has a clear and concise thesis statement and specific evidence to support their claims. Last year, I also had a goal of having a Young Authors Fair or writing exhibit, which did not take place. However, my goal this year is to ensure that this takes place so that you can see all of the development and growth that our students are making with their writing. We'll also be taking a look at our science program this year to ensure that our students have multiple opportunities for hands-on learning within their labs. And to ensure that our students are using technology safely and also responsibly, we'll also be providing digital citizenship for our older students. As far as our apostolic formation, over the last couple of years, we've been combining opportunities for not only school-wide service projects, but also grade-level service projects. We are continuing with that endeavor this year, but also providing just more opportunities for them so that they truly have that opportunity to develop a love for serving others. Last year, it was so exciting that we had an opportunity to prepare for 3 different accreditations, and we are continuing with that. So every year, we have our RC Education accreditation. This is a yearly accreditation, so we're going to be working on that. Our visit will be in January. We are also moving on to phase 3 and 4 of our WCEA accreditation. Last year, our teachers and admin team worked very hard to complete phase 1 and 2, and I'm very excited that this year, using that information, we'll be identifying several goals for our school to work on for the next 6 years, and the team will be coming to visit us in March. And I'd also like to thank our parents who provided their input through the WCEA surveys back in December. Can you raise your hand if you provided feedback on that? That information, it truly was useful, so thank you so much. And then we're also continuing with our Cardinal Newman Society accreditation. Last year, one of the main initiatives that we launched was campus ministry. The focus for campus ministry truly is to look at our students' formation within our spiritual formation and also apostolic formation. Is Mrs. Byron Sanchez here? So thank you. So last year, we had a team with Ms. Mai and also Katie Sternhagen, Anna Brockman, Father Tamson, and Mrs. Caligaris. They all worked together to support our students and also parents and teachers in many ways, and we are continuing with this initiative this year. So within our student formation, we have many opportunities for our students to continue developing in their spiritual and apostolic formation through our Virtue program. And also other examples include our Advent and Lent campaign. So within our Virtue program, I introduce the Virtue at the beginning of the month, and then that is reinforced throughout the classroom, throughout the school day. And then every week, one student in each grade level is acknowledged for their growth within that Virtue. Examples of our parent formation that's led through campus ministry include our Friday night cafes and also the Pillars program. Can you raise your hand, parents, if you've been involved in that in the past? So either Friday night cafe or our Pillars program. Wonderful, thank you. So for our new parents, I highly encourage you to participate in these opportunities to help build community and also as a formation opportunity for you. And so campus ministry also helps support with teacher formation through leading us through faculty retreats and then also offering teacher-in services several times throughout the year. Now I'll be moving into our policies, which focus a little bit more on our students' human formation. So as a school, our teachers are trained in love and logic. And within this philosophy, truly it is that student-teacher relationship that is critical for our students to continue growth, not only within all their different dimensions of integral formation. And so it's through knowing our children that we know how to engage them and also be able to keep forming them with this human formation. However, in the event, well, actually here, let me show you this is found in our code of conduct. So our behavior expectations for our student is respect for God, themselves, other, school personnel, property, and also diversity. And again, it's through that relationship with the students that our students continue to grow in these different areas. However, we do have a formal discipline policy, which I will share with you. And again, our discipline policy, it's meant to be formative, so we need to look at this in terms of what's appropriate for age appropriateness, and it's also dependent on the misconduct taking place. But usually, it starts with our teacher giving a verbal warning, and then it turns into a lunch reflection or writing assignment. In the event the misbehavior continues, then it moves on to formation with our vice principals, where a discipline plan is created. And then at the last stage, it would then be sent to me for me to determine and work with the family and the child to determine whether or not it would lead to a suspension or expulsion. As many of you know, our school does have a formal uniform policy, which you can find in our uniform code lookbook. And the purpose of our uniform is to help our students embody what it looks like to be a Christian leader. How are they presenting themselves to others? How are they conveying a sense of pride and unity? And it also encourages positive and modest self-image. And another advantage for you as parents is it makes it easier for you in the mornings to get your child ready. This slide is mainly for our new parents. Raise your hands again if you are the new parents. So I'd like to just share with you where the different drop-off locations are in the morning. So EM drop-off is that first driveway over there, and it actually starts at 8 a.m., not 7:30 a.m. For our preschool and kindergarten, for grades 1 through 8, drop-off will be right in front here, and that starts from 8 o'clock to 8:15. And then there's another shift that comes through for preschool and kindergarten, and that's from 8:15 to 8:30. And I do request parents that you remind your children that the vehicle is at a complete stop before they attempt to exit the car. So there were some scary instances last year where I did notice some parents were driving and the child had opened the door and was attempting to exit. So I know they're excited to be at school, but please, safety is always first. And also, please remember that our drop-off time starts at 8 o'clock. And so when students are dropped off earlier than that, there is no supervision in front of the campus. So for the safety of your children, please make sure that you are with them until a teacher comes out to ensure that there's appropriate supervision. If you would like to drop off your child earlier, we do have morning care that starts at 7:30. These are just some reminders of what I just explained, where you need to go for the drop-off and what the hours are. For pickup, we have our preschool and kindergarten back-to-school night. You will receive a lot of details about this, pickup and drop-off procedures, but the pickup time is 3 o'clock to 3:15, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And then Wednesdays is our early dismissal. Parents will come on campus to pick up their children. So once it's time for pickup to take place, you will see the gates open, and then you will go to your child's homeroom classroom and wait there. And then for our students in grades K through 8, dismissal is 3:15 to 3:30, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and again, early dismissal on Wednesdays. And we do have EDC all the way up until 6 o'clock. Continuing with human formation, I can't emphasize how important it is for your child to be at school daily and also to be on time. In the event your child is absent, please make sure that you contact the front office. This is Ms. Hawkins, so please email her and the homeroom teacher to let them know that your child will be absent by 8:45. So attendance is a legal document that our teachers must complete daily. So we do appreciate your support with informing them daily whether or not your child will be absent. If your child is late, your child will report to the front office to be checked in. And please walk with your child over to the office. Some other reminders here. We do have a hot lunch program available for your child. Please make sure that those are submitted to school by 10 a.m. And another reminder, we are a nut-aware school, so please be aware that we do not have any type of nut products brought onto our campus for the safety of our children. And as part of our uniform policy, and also to ensure that your students are constantly hydrated, please make sure you send them to school with a refillable water bottle. We have water stations throughout campus to make sure that they're comfortable and hydrated. Just some reminders, please make sure that you've completed these items before we get started. Please make sure that your medication form is up to date, that there's an acknowledgement for our parent-student handbook, permission to pick up, and also our technology use agreement. And again, these are all details that our teachers will go through with you during back-to-school night. But I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned them here. These are our announcements at Mass. So as you know, all of our students attend Mass on a weekly basis. This is for our students in preschool all the way to 8th grade. And these are all the other times that our students attend Mass with their grade levels. If there is not a grade level Mass that week, then we do have an all-school Mass. For those of you who are parents of students in grades 5 to 8, we do have multiple opportunities for them to compete in our diocesan leagues. And before I conclude my presentation, I'd like to introduce you to our wonderful faculty. So if we can please come up. So I'd like to introduce my vice principals first. So for my director of early childhood and vice principal of grades 1 through 3, can I please have Mrs. Maria Fisher come up? And I would like to introduce our vice principal for grades 4 through 8, Mrs. Barbara Larson. And now each one of them will be introducing their team members.
Thank you. My early Montessori team is not here tonight because they work. Okay, I'm getting hand motions. Okay. My early Montessori team is not here. They worked all day, so they're home resting, so they can be up early for your early Montessori children. So in early Montessori, we have Mrs. Teresa Rinaldi, Miss Princess Ricaccio, and Mrs. Julia Schwass. In our preschool, we have in room A, Mrs. Lupita Alvarez. In room B, we have Miss Vui Nguyen. Her partner and co-teacher, Miss Monica Koo, is traveling, so you will see her tomorrow. And in room C, we have Mrs. Nadia West. In kindergarten, we have Miss Natalie Schwetsky. In first grade, we have Miss Marianne Solano. In second grade, we have Mrs. Nicole Mazzetta. And in third grade, we have Miss Elena Villagomez. We also have our early Montessori extended daycare, Miss Vanessa Alvarez, who is not with us tonight. And then anyone that's in preschool and kindergarten, we have a date with you tomorrow afternoon.
I need notes. I'm going to introduce the grade 4 through 8 teachers, so when I call your name, please come forward. Our 4th grade teacher is Mrs. Emmeline Malabanan. Our grade 5 teacher is Mr. Zach Panza. Our grade 6 homeroom teacher, theology teacher for grades 6 through 8, and geometry teacher for our 8th grade risers, Mrs. Michelle Wong. Our 7th grade homeroom teacher, 6th grade math teacher, and 8th grade Algebra 1 teacher, and technology advisor is Mr. To Pham. Our 8th grade homeroom teacher and grade 6 through 8 ELA teacher, Mr. Joseph Beneful. Our history middle school teacher for grades 6 through 8 is Mrs. Lisa Kelsey. Our science middle school teacher for grades 6 through 8 is Mr. Ben Morganson. And I will be teaching the pre-algebra grade 7 math, and I am going to continue with our Cube Satellite extracurricular program. But I also would like to introduce my 3 Cube Satellite teachers. Is Miss Renuka here? If you are, stand up and come forward. Mr. Tango. And Mr. Jorge Morales. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Larson. Now I'd like to introduce to you our specials teachers. So our first teacher I would like to introduce is Mrs. Delk, who is our art teacher. Mr. Joseph Nguyen, our music teacher and also athletic director. Mr. Paul Hernandez, PE teacher. Mrs. Mara Rodriguez is not here this evening, but she will be teaching Spanish for grades 1 through 5. Mrs. Myron Sanchez will be teaching middle school Spanish. Father Tamsin, middle school Latin. Mrs. Cynthia Batris will be teaching kindergarten Spanish, and she is also our resource teacher and registrar. Thank you, teachers. And now I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our president again, Mr. Jeff Waters.
Thank you, Annalisa. Our teachers are fantastic. I will say the early Montessori teachers that were not here, I can attest to their abilities. We were at a kind of start of school year retreat. I was at a table with 3 of them. I knocked over a full glass of water. They jumped into action like you'd never, ever seen. It's like, almost like they were trained in how to deal with people that were incapable of not spelling things. It was stunning. But thank you so much to our teachers. I did want to point out, I almost neglected to give a quick introduction to some of my bosses that are in the room from our board. I have Mr. Rodrigo Sanchez, who's our chairman. Mr. Rob Dunn. I think that's it, unless I'm missing anybody. I will say we have a great board. It covers a broad array of functional experiences and capabilities, so really good to help us with the stewardship of the school. One last comment I would make before I let you go. I would say, in the event any of you have any friends or family that are expressing any regret about the decision that they've made with where they're starting their children in school, consider us. We will talk to them, we'll help them, we'll do everything we can to help them come join the family. We're doing well from an enrollment perspective. We're sitting right at about 220 to start the school year. We have room for about 280. So there are 60 souls out there, friends, family, people you meet in Safeway or Whole Foods that are meant for Canyon Heights. So keep us in mind when you see them. And again, I want to thank everybody for showing up. It is great to see a room full of so many people. I'm sorry I will not miss you. I will not see you on Thursday morning at drop-off, but know that you'll be in my thoughts, and looking forward to a great year. So thanks, everybody.